You're alone. No one is listening. And yet, your mouth starts explaining something, arguing with someone who is not there, or rehearsing a conversation that has not even happened. It can feel strange, maybe even embarrassing. But talking to yourself does not automatically mean something is wrong. In many cases, it is your brain using language to organize attention, guide behavior, and make a confusing thought easier to handle. You probably do it more often than you notice. You walk into a room and ask, "Why did I come in here?" You search for your keys and mutter, "Phone, wallet, keys." You rehearse an awkward conversation in the shower or quietly coach yourself before sending a risky message. Sometimes it sounds like two versions of you holding a meeting without permission. Researchers often distinguish between inner speech, which stays inside your head, and private or self-directed speech, which becomes audible. They are closely related. But saying a thought aloud changes the experience. Now you can hear it, judge it, correct it, and answer it. And that may be part of why self-talk is useful. Self-talk comes in several familiar forms. There is instructional self-talk. Open the file, fix the title, then send it. There is emotional self-talk. Slow down. This is uncomfortable, but manageable. There is social rehearsal. If they ask me that, I'll say this. And there is the exhausted commentary. Wonderful. Of course the printer is broken. Not every form is helpful. Some clarifies, some complains. Some repeats the same fear in 10 different sentences. To understand where this habit may begin, watch a young child solve a problem. A child building a tower might say, "Big block here? No, not that one. This one goes on top." To an adult, it can sound like random chatter. But developmental psychologist Lev Vygotsky proposed that private speech helps children guide their own actions. Modern research continues to connect children's private speech with self-regulation. As children develop, much of that spoken guidance becomes quieter and is gradually internalized as inner speech. In other words, the voice inside your head may have begun as a voice in the room. A child first hears instructions from other people. Slow down, look carefully, try again. Then the child repeats those instructions aloud. Eventually, they move inward. The adult version appears whenever you assemble furniture and suddenly begin speaking like a patient supervisor. Turn it around. No, the other way. Read the instructions. That voice can direct attention and keep a sequence of actions active. This matters because working memory is limited. It holds only a small amount of information in an accessible form while you think, plan, or solve a problem. Your brain cannot keep an unlimited pile of steps, reminders, worries, and decisions equally clear at the same time. Speaking can give one thought a more stable form, a sentence you can hear. Imagine searching a messy kitchen for a jar of mustard. In experiments by psychologists Gary Lupien and Daniel Swingley, people sometimes found familiar objects faster when they said the object's name aloud. The effect worked best when the spoken label closely matched the object's appearance. Words did not magically improve eyesight. They helped attention focus on the right kind of thing. Self-talk can also slow thought down. Inside your head, one fear can become 5 fears. One unfinished task can turn into a vague feeling that your entire life is collapsing. But when you say the problem aloud, it has to become a sentence. And sentences have structure. I'm stressed is broad. I'm stressed because I have 3 tasks and do not know which comes first is more useful. So why would humans have this ability at all? No one can directly observe the private speech of prehistoric humans, so there is no single proven evolutionary story. But there is a reasonable possibility. Human language became a powerful system for communicating, teaching, warning, coordinating, and planning with others. Once the brain could use words to guide another person, the same system could also guide the self. An ancient hunter could repeat a sequence. Wait here, watch the wind, move after the signal. A group member could prepare what to say before danger or conflict. This does not prove that self-talk evolved for those exact situations, but it shows why a brain capable of becoming both speaker and listener could be useful. You still use that ability before difficult moments. Before an interview, you rehearse an answer. Before a presentation, you repeat the opening line. Before a confrontation, you test several versions of the same sentence. You are running a simulation. It is a small rehearsal room inside the mind, except sometimes the rehearsal leaks through your mouth. Stress and anxiety can make that mental room feel crowded. Research links anxiety with poorer working memory performance, especially when the mind is already carrying a heavy load. That is when self-talk may become more noticeable. Okay, stop. One thing at a time. This can be your brain trying to restore order. But the same voice can also make things worse. Instead of guiding, it attacks. You always ruin this. Everyone noticed. This is going to be a disaster. The issue is not simply that you are talking to yourself. It is what the voice is doing. Useful self-talk tends to be specific, realistic, and connected to an action. Check the address once more gives you a next step. You are terrible at everything gives you nowhere to go. Research on distanced self-talk also suggests that changing how you address yourself can affect emotional regulation. Using your own name or the word you can create a little psychological distance from an intense situation. Instead of saying, "I cannot handle this," you might say, "You are nervous, but you only need to explain the first point." So when should talking to yourself be a concern? Ordinary self-talk is not the same as hearing a voice that feels separate from your own thoughts. The important questions are whether you recognize the speech as your own, whether you can redirect it, and whether it seriously disrupts daily life. If you hear voices that seem external, cannot tell what is real, feel commanded or threatened, or experience major distress or difficulty functioning, that is different from ordinary self-talk and deserves help from a qualified mental health professional. For everyday self-talk, a simple 3-step method can make the habit more useful. First, name the situation precisely. Not, "Everything is bad." Say, "I am nervous because I need to explain my idea clearly." Second, give yourself one instruction. Open the document and write the first sentence. Not 10 instructions. 1. Third, use the tone you would use for someone you respect. Firm, but not cruel. Slow down. You know the main point. Start there. The goal is not to become your own motivational speaker. The goal is to turn mental noise into a usable signal. So the next time you catch yourself talking in an empty room, do not panic. You may not be losing the conversation. You may be creating one. Your brain is taking a thought, putting it into words, and handing it back to you in a form you can examine. A strange habit? Sometimes. But it can also be a planning tool, an attention guide, and a way to give structure to a crowded mind. If this made one of your strange habits feel a little less strange, subscribe to Ancient Brain Lab. In the next episode, we'll explore another everyday behavior that seems random until you see what the ancient brain may be trying to do. And tonight, when you hear yourself speaking to no one, remember this: someone is listening. You are.